Your brain is a pattern-detecting machine. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, your mind is constantly scanning the world for regularities. It looks for repetition, connections, sequences, anything that helps transform chaos into something predictable. This ability is one of the most powerful survival tools humans possess. If early humans noticed that certain clouds appeared before a storm, they could prepare for rain. If certain animal tracks appeared near water sources, they could follow them to find food. If a rustling sound in tall grass often meant danger, reacting quickly could save a life. Pattern detection allowed the brain to anticipate the future. But the same mechanism that helped humans survive also creates one of the mind's most fascinating distortions: the tendency to see patterns even when none actually exist. Psychologists call this phenomenon apophenia, the brain's inclination to perceive meaningful connections in random information. You've probably experienced this without realizing it. Think about the last time you looked at clouds and suddenly saw shapes. A dragon, a face, an animal. The cloud itself had no intention of forming those shapes. But your brain automatically organized the random visual information into something recognizable. This happens because your mind evolved to prioritize pattern detection over perfect accuracy. In evolutionary terms, it was safer to assume a pattern existed, even if you were occasionally wrong, than to ignore a pattern that might signal danger. Imagine hearing a strange sound in the forest thousands of years ago. If you assumed it was a predator when it wasn't, the cost was small. A few moments of unnecessary alertness. But if you assumed it was nothing when it actually was a predator, the cost could be fatal. So the brain learned to err on the side of finding patterns quickly. This strategy still operates in the modern world, even though our environments are very different. Consider financial markets. When a stock rises or falls, people immediately begin constructing explanations. They look for trends, cycles, signals, anything that seems to explain why the movement occurred. But markets contain a large amount of randomness. Sometimes events happen without a clear cause, yet the mind still builds a story that connects the dots. Once the explanation appears convincing, it spreads quickly. Another example appears in everyday life. Someone experiences two unrelated events close together. Maybe they wear a certain shirt the day something good happens. Later they wear the same shirt again and something else positive occurs. Soon the brain starts linking the shirt with good outcomes. Rationally, the person knows the shirt has nothing to do with those events. But the pattern feels real. Over time, small coincidences can grow into superstitions. The mind connects dots even when the dots were never meant to be connected. Pattern seeking also shapes how people interpret relationships and social behavior. A friend takes longer than usual to reply to a message. The brain begins scanning for patterns in past conversations. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset about something? Often the delay has nothing to do with the relationship at all. But the mind tries to assemble a narrative from incomplete data. It wants the pattern. Another reason the brain searches for patterns is that patterns create predictability. When events appear connected, the world feels more understandable. When events appear random, the world feels unstable. Predictability creates psychological comfort. This is why conspiracy theories can sometimes feel persuasive to the people who believe them. Large, confusing events generate uncertainty. The brain struggles with explanations that involve complex systems, random chance, and multiple interacting causes. But a single hidden pattern, a secret plan or coordinated scheme, creates a sense of order. The mind relaxes when chaos is replaced with structure. Yet there is another side to this story. The same pattern-seeking ability that occasionally misleads us is also responsible for creativity, science, and discovery. Scientists identify patterns in data that reveal natural laws. Engineers detect patterns in systems that allow them to improve technology. Artists see patterns in sound, color, and movement that become music, paintings, and dance. Pattern recognition is the foundation of learning itself. The difference between useful pattern detection and misleading pattern detection lies in verification. When scientists suspect a pattern, they test it repeatedly. They collect more data, run experiments, and check whether the pattern continues to appear under different conditions. The mind's first pattern is just a hypothesis. Without testing, it remains a guess. But in everyday thinking, most patterns are never tested. Once the brain forms a connection, it tends to look for evidence that supports it while ignoring evidence that contradicts it. Over time, the pattern begins to feel like an established truth. This is how misconceptions can quietly solidify. Recognizing this tendency changes the way you observe your own thoughts. The next time your mind quickly connects two events, when it forms a story about why something happened, it may be worth pausing for a moment. Ask yourself a simple question: is this pattern real, or is my brain trying to impose order on randomness? Sometimes the connection will hold up. Other times it will dissolve under closer inspection. Either way, the act of questioning the pattern reveals something deeper about how your mind works. Your brain is always searching for meaning in the noise, but not every signal it finds is truly there.